let's go ahead and create a new project. And to get started, I'm going to create an index file. I'm going to install Bootstrap using Bower. I'm also going to, let's see, jQuery will already be installed using Bootstrap. So if we look inside of our Bower components, you'll now see Bootstrap and jQuery. If you're not going to use Bootstrap for this, you will want to install jQuery so that you have access to it. But let's go ahead and open this in Atom. And so far our index page is going to be empty. So let's go ahead and add our HTML boilerplate, give it a title, and let's go ahead and include our Bootstrap CSS, which will be right here. /Bower components /bootstrap /dist /css /bootstrap.min. So we've got that, and then let's go ahead and also link our jQuery. So again, we're going to want this one. Let's copy the project path there and grab that. Okay, so now we have jQuery and we have Bootstrap, so both of our dependencies have been added to our project. Let's go ahead and create our own JavaScript folder, and we're going to create our own CSS folder where we can go ahead and create our GitHub CSS and github.js. So the first thing we want to do now that we do have Bootstrap installed is just build out our basic container. I'm going to just quickly build out the Bootstrap code that we are going to need for this. Again, you can make yours look however you'd like. I'm going to be doing a very unstyled version just so that we can focus on the essentials that are going on inside of jQuery. So I'm going to do call medium 8, and then let's offset it. This will give us the effect that we have essentially centered our column. And so this will put 2 columns on either side and then 8 in the middle to add up to 12. So now let's go ahead and just clean up some of our tags here. So for the most part, our code's going to happen in here. I'm going to go ahead and do a new div of page header. And put an H2 in here and just give it the name of GitHub People Finder. So down below here, we'll actually have some more rows. We can just use divs for these. And what we're going to want to put here is an input box. So we'll put an input box there, and then we'll want to display our results here from GitHub. So we've set up our Bootstrap, we have a header, we have a placeholder for where we're going to have an input box, and then a place where we're actually going to put the data out to the screen. While we're here, let's go ahead and just put in our input box. And I'm going to give this an ID of GitHub name. And we'll also need a button. So I'll do button class equals button. This is the Bootstrap class for button. So we'll do search. And if we go ahead and open our index file, we'll see what we have here. So far, it doesn't look exactly like my other one, but we have the beginnings of a text box, we have a search bar, button, and then we have a place to display our results. So let's pop back into Atom, and let's hide our results here and give this an ID of results. So we'll eventually put something into this div, but for right now, let's focus on making this button and this text box come to life. So I'm going to give this search button an ID of search. So that way we can easily add an on-click handler to that, and we can hop over to jQuery. So in our GitHub.js file, this is going to be our GitHub, our JavaScript. We need to make sure that this is connected to our index page. So up here we've included Bootstrap and we have included jQuery, but we also need to include our GitHub CSS, which we haven't made any changes to yet, and we need to include our GitHub JavaScript. And we'll go ahead and get rid of this over here. So now everything should be set up. If we come into our GitHub.js, we can start off our project with document.ready. Again, this just is necessary so that we will only run the code inside of this block if the document has been fully loaded. And we can actually test that to make sure that our file is connected properly by refreshing the page and doing an alert so we know our JavaScript is firing off properly. So let's take a look at our index page. We have two IDs. We have an ID for our text box and we have an ID for our search bar, our search button. And we want to make it so that when we click the search button that we search for this username. So let's go ahead and do a selector of an ID of search. So that means our button, when it is clicked, we're going to go ahead and fire off this function. And when we're inside this function, we can actually grab the value of our input box, which is GitHub name. And we want to store that. So we're going to go ahead and do var name to search equals $pound GitHub name. So now we have GitHub name, and we want to get the value of that field. So right here, the $pound GitHub, this is going to get us the field, and then .val is going to give us the value of that field. And again, we can check to see that everything is wired up by alerting the name. So let's go ahead and type in my name, search, and you'll see that my name has been alerted.